the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award-winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. And as you know, we always have amazing women on. And today we have on the incredible Bridgette L Smith. She is the CEO and founder of Investor Playbook and Founder Playbook. She's going to help you get funding. She's going to help you to learn about investing. Please welcome to the show, Bridgette L Smith. Hi, Bridgette.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy that our paths have crossed. I got to hear you do your Investor Playbook, part of it on Angels workshops, and just fell in love with you. I am just so enamored with the work that you're doing because, as you know, I'm all about, how are we going to get more women into investing? And you are all about that with your Investor Playbook. So I want to talk about Investor Playbook first. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that program.
Sure. So Investor Playbook is a micro accelerator, and our focus is 100% democratizing and normalizing the conversation and the empowerment for women who are interested in investing. So our primary product is called Investing with Confidence. Those are workshops. So far, since May 2023, which is only a few months ago, we have trained nearly 3,000 women on how to become investors in this ecosystem in terms of investing into private companies. And we've also been able to empower women, 51 women in particular, to become limited partners across multiple VC funds.
And let me stop you there. Let me stop you just for 1 second, because some people don't know what limited partners are. So it's somebody that is an angel investor, but then they invest in a fund, hopefully one of these female-founded funds that we're proponents of, and then they become an LP, which is a limited partner, and it just means you're an investor in the fund and pooling your collective money, and then the general partners, the GPs, they decide where that money's going, into what 20 or 30 or 40, companies. It's kind of like a mutual fund, but with startups and companies that are on the growth path. So it's an exciting space to be swimming in, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so so many women, and myself included, had no idea that this was an asset class that we could participate in. In my 20s, I was accredited, but didn't know it. I am in my 50s now, and I just started investing 2 years ago. And in that 2-year window, I've now invested in 13 VC funds and 150 startups. So once you are empowered and you know how to invest, you understand the dynamics and the nuances of investing, and it's not difficult. It's just that we've never had the information or the education to understand how to get started.
And I'm so glad that you're an associate producer on our film called Show Her the Money. It's coming out. You can find where the screenings are by signing up on our website, which is showherthemoneymovie.com. And I'm so glad that you, Bridgette, see the value in a film that teaches women what is venture capital, how does it affect me, how can I either get money from them as a founder or invest in them as an angel investor. And that's really, you and I were taking this on the road throughout the country for people to see this film, to learn about venture capital, because like you said, up until a few years ago, you didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. Most women don't know about it. We want all women to understand this asset class. And I love that you've created programs to make that easy. That's why I'm so thrilled to have you on the show, because I always like the show to be about what resources are out there to help you navigate this. So, and not everybody was born into this. Like you said, your background is that you were in broadcast journalism, and then you've worked for tech companies like Google, and you've been a 3-time founder, and you have the background of a lot of our listeners. But how did you make that foray into, what is this venture capital, and why should I be participating in it? And by the way, I think I need to train other women in this arena. Was it a calling?
It's definitely a part of what I naturally do. I love to share and educate and inform in any space that I'm in. I love to make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a part of every conversation that I participate in. So it was a natural transition. I have to say, in 2021, my family and I relocated to California for me to join the Google executive team. When I came into Silicon Valley, new doors, new conversations, new circles opened up to me that I'd never experienced before. I never had access to before. Many of them were talking about startups and equity and unicorns and thesis and just having conversations that I just didn't know what they were talking about. And so I became curious. And what's interesting is often people who have those conversations, they talk over you, they talk over your head. As you've been so kind here to explain to your listeners what a limited partner is, how a VC fund works. Many people who are in that space don't take the time to explain anything. They just talk, and they're talking to each other, and you're just kind of trying to pick up on the conversation. So I started to lean in and say, what is this? And what are they talking about? And how are so many people becoming millionaires in this space? But they weren't willing to share the information with me. So that made me more curious. So I started to dig in and ask questions. What I found, Catherine, is it was so difficult to find information. So I did what most people do. I Google things, I watch YouTube videos, I went to free webinars, and I started to piecemeal the information I needed together. And then I became somewhat empowered. I didn't really know what I was doing when I started, but I had to start somewhere. So I wrote that first check for $2,500, which was not a lot of money, but it was my opportunity to put my little toe in the water and just try this thing called investing. And I didn't know what a limited partner was at the time. I barely understood what it meant to be an investor at the time, but I knew I wanted to start somewhere. So what happened after that? Well, that gave me power. I now had at least tried it, right? And I knew I wasn't going to get my money back right away, because we all know those who invest and those who are just starting should know that it could take up to 10 years to see a return on investment upon a successful exit if that startup company does become a successful investment opportunity in your portfolio. So I invested that $2,500. Then I started to dig in more and more and more. And so the more I learned, the more I realized that if it takes me 2 years, it took me almost 2 years to figure this whole story out. And I said, this is crazy. There has to be a simpler way to share this information with women who look like me, a person of color, a Black woman in particular, who is a person of wealth and capital. I have the money to invest, but I just didn't have the information. So as you said, Angels invited me to come speak and said, Bridgette, share your journey, share with us how you've been able to invest in what and your why and your how. And so I said, well, I've got to put together a deck. I come from corporate America. I've got to have some slides. And so that helped me to package my process and framework so that others could follow. And without me trying, without me, having a vision for this, I said, I'm just going to do this one workshop. And I did. And hundreds of people showed up and they wanted more. They said, tell us more, tell us the nuance of this or the nuance of that. And so then I began to create more workshops, and now it's a business. And so that's how I started. It really came from an authentic place, and it's still a very authentic place of helping women to understand and talk about money, to talk about building generational wealth for themselves and their families. And how do you get started when you know nothing? Where do you begin? How do you create a thesis? How do you evaluate pitch decks?
I love this.
Even find deal flow. Like, all of those things are what we talk about. And and these are free workshops, by the way. These are free workshops. So I am empowering women to show up in their full authentic self, bring all of their questions, no matter what type of questions they have, and let's build wealth together.
I love it. And I think it is brilliant. I have listened to, Angels is a syndicate that anyone can join. It started off as a gay group, but it's for allies of gay people, and a wonderful organization. CEO Jennifer Geronimo has an amazing program for women to learn. And that's when I got to hear your workshop. It was one of several, which, by the way, I told her was my favorite. And and I was like, this woman is genius, because, we need these type of workshops for women to be able to take to learn about it. It was the perfect marriage for my film, which is a film about raising awareness about venture capital. What is it? Why should women invest in it? How do women access the funding from it as founders? And they don't know anything about it. Women have really been shut out of the venture capital world, which has been around for decades. But it wasn't until the early 2000s that there was even a group for women, which was Golden Siege, which I know that you're part of. And then you're also part of other great groups like Chief, that are entities that are helping women come together and be able to support each other in learning things like this, like about venture capital. And like you said, a lot of money is made in this space, and women are not familiar with it. And you're not going to invest in something you don't understand. And
That's
one
right.
of the things I loved about your investor playbook was teaching women how to even create like your investor profile. What is it you want to invest in? What is what are your things that you're most interested in? Is it the environment? Is it medical? Is it tech? What is it? And defining, because once you become an investor, you could get deluged with so many requests. You have to know exactly what your sweet spot is, what you want your legacy to be, and what matters to you. And so the whole idea, right, is impact investing, and investing in things that matter to you that can also be very lucrative. Because let's face it, by the time stocks get to the public stock market, people have already made a ton of money on them. All the billionaires in this country are in venture capital, but women tend to think they can't step their toe into it and learn it, but they can. And there's programs out there like yours that they can. And as you just mentioned, could start off with $2,500 to start trying to learn it. Because I agree with you. I did the same thing. The best way to start and learn is to jump in and do it, right? And then you learn as you go.
As far as the thesis, let me just share. So yesterday, I had 2 workshops. One was on creating your investor thesis, and then your executive brand, and then leveraging that to create thought leadership. Over 200 women showed up. And so we literally built their thesis on this phone call. And a thesis is just simply a strategy. What is your strategy to identify startups and the startup stages and the investor, the founder profile that you are more interested in based on 3 things: based on your hobbies and interests, based on your social impact areas, and based on your career expertise. So using those 3 categories, we built out your investor thesis on this call that I had just yesterday with over 200 women. And so it was an amazing conversation, very, very interactive. We talked about various stages. Again, every session I have is about education. So educating them on the various stages of startups, from pre-seed all the way to Series A, B, alphabet soup, right? Series pre-seed, seed, and then Series A and beyond.
And I imagine your workshop explains what those stages are.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
because you'll step in, like you said, people will say, oh, Series A, B. What does that mean?
Yes,
so,
we talk through it all.
Yes, you explain
so
that.
So the whole point is to demystify the whole.
Yes.
The whole. It's an invisible barrier that is out there, or an invisible mindset that I'm too old. I'm in my 50s. I can't invest now. I should have done it in my 20s. That's a myth. There's other myths out there that women don't have the capital to invest. That's a myth. There are other myths out there that you have to be in tech to invest. Again, there's so many myths. And then people, even if I know you've explained repeatedly what an accredited investor is, and so have I, and so have many people in our ecosystem, but women are still not clear on whether or not they are an accredited investor or not. And so so we break that down and we help them understand what it means to be accredited or not to be accredited. And either way, how you can participate in this ecosystem. So information education is the foundation of everything I touch. And I simplify things. I break it down into small chunks that are understandable. And the conversation we had around the thesis yesterday, all of those women now have a documented thesis that will help them attract deal flow to them that aligns with their values, their principles, their areas of interest. That is empowerment.
That is, and that's your investor playbook. Tell us a little bit about the founder playbook.
Yeah, so Founder Playbook is actually where I started. Again, you mentioned I'm a 3-time founder myself. I started my first company in my 20s. It was a public relations and marketing firm in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a spinoff of me being on television news at ABC and NBC for years. And so I started this PR marketing firm. I didn't know a lot, but I was making some money at the time. You know, I was doing pretty good. And so I've got entrepreneurship is in my blood. It's in my DNA. And so fast forward to where we are now, I started Investor Playbook and Founder Playbook. And so Founder Playbook is a micro accelerator for founders. And so I have 13 categories of services that I provide to founders. The number one service above and beyond everything is pitch deck development. Many, many founders have no idea, or they think they know how to create a pitch deck that they then should send to investors to raise funds. And I tell you, even the best pitch decks, people who say, they may have already even raised $1 million from friends and family. I've met with many, many founders. I advise founders in so many different accelerators and incubator programs. And often I see and talk to founders who are women, people of color, or not. But they've raised $700,000, $800,000 in capital from friends and family, and they have a deck. I see the deck, and it is nowhere near the shape it needs to be in order for an angel or VC firm to be interested in investing in that same company. So I help them build the deck that is investor ready. And my tagline is think like an investor. Don't think like a founder, think like an investor. What does an investor want to see?
Yes, the pitch deck and the pitch is key. I love that you do that and that you see that that's the weak link that you can help people with the Founder Playbook. So whether you're an investor or a founder, you have a workshop and program for both. And where can they find that?
Well, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. So Bridgette L Smith with the butterfly on LinkedIn. And from there, I direct you to all of the various websites and all the various pages that have my content. But that is the place that I'm on throughout the day, literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm on LinkedIn. So if you can find me there. And again, there's so many different websites. I'd hate to give you 5 or 6 on this one call, but just go to me, find me on LinkedIn, Bridgette L Smith with the blue butterfly.
Beautiful. And I noticed that, you have invested in an array of things, and we're not going to get into all of them right now, but there are various things within this wheelhouse. So you've invested in hedge funds, private equity funds, venture capital funds, SPVs, special purpose vehicles, and of course, solo entrepreneurs. So I imagine that's something that you cover in your workshops. What are those things? Because people don't understand that there's various types of investments within that same framework, right?
Yes. So alternative asset classes is the category where I invested in your film, Show Her the Money, right? That's an alternative asset class. I've also invested in wine, invested in art. So there's a number of asset classes that we have access to if we only knew where to find them, if we only knew where to go, if we only had deal flow. So yes, I have definitely diversified my portfolio so that I'm not, and that was at the counsel and suggestion of my wealth manager, to make sure that I'm not heavy into the private company classification, which is startups, and that I actually invest in other categories as well. So my portfolio is very, very deep. And again, just keep in mind, everybody, I started 2 years ago.
Wow.
I did not start in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s. I started in my 50s. Once I once I leaned in to understand what is this conversation about, and I had, prior to that, I had only been investing in what? IRAs, 401k, real estate, things that my employer was matching my funds for, things like that. I never really was active. I was a passive investor. And I am the most active investor you'll probably meet.
And I want to mention that one of the things that brought us together is that we're just so disappointed that women get only 2% of venture capital funding. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's something I preach about all the time, and it's what the movie's about. Show Her the Money, is that 98% of the funding in venture capital still goes to men. The only thing that's going to change that is that more women start investing. And thank goodness, for the first time in history, more women are starting their own venture capital funds than ever before. And guess what they're investing in? Exactly what you're investing in, Bridgette. Of course, women, BIPOC, and LGBTQ, all the underserved communities within the venture capital. And guess what? Those are going to be the big winners. All of that brain power has been sitting on the sidelines, not being funded. And now women are going to fund those groups and be very successful at it. There's going to be a very big upside to this. People don't want to miss out. But in order to step into it, great to have courses like Bridgette's and that is Investor Playbook and Founder Playbook to help you along the way, because you don't want to jump in and, like she said, start from ground zero. Why would you when you have this help? And you can also join, angel groups. I know you're part of Golden Seeds, and there's other many angel groups around the country that people can join and start to learn. Angels is also the other one that we mentioned. Become a member for free, and then you learn about the deal flow and about how to invest in these things. So there's so many resources out there. And
can I just share with you? I just started 2 angel groups because
yes, you did. I wanted to bring that up.
Oh my goodness. So I apologize for interrupting. I didn't know if I would have the opportunity to share, but I just literally last month started 2 different angel groups. One is for accredited investors. It's called Investing with Confidence Angels. And the other is called Investing with Confidence Future Angels. So it's non-accredited investors. Yes. And so we have over 200 members already. And I literally just went live 30 days ago. And my goal is to have at least 1,000 members by the first quarter of next year. And we are well on our way to hit that big number. But it literally, like I said, it's all about information and education. So we have that as a thread across both angel groups. And then we're creating a customized dashboard. So no matter where you invest your money, whether it's a VC fund, a hedge fund, a private equity, et cetera, we are going to be creating, and we are creating, an app that you can download on your smartphone so that you can track your investment and see your entire portfolio. So this is a moving target in terms of what the opportunities are. Women are investing. They are investing. On one 60-minute call, I had 21 women say yes to becoming limited partners in one fund on one phone call. Wow. So women have the capital. Women are interested in investing. They simply need access to the information.
100%. And I love that message. We're going to end on that note. You must look up Bridgette L Smith on LinkedIn and find out about these amazing programs, whether you're an investor or a founder, and come meet us. We're going to be on the road together with the screenings of Show Her the Money. You can go to showherthemoneymovie.com, sign up, and then you'll be alerted when we have screenings coming to your area. They'll be starting the end of 2023 and, of course, going through 2024. You can come out and meet us in person and see the movie to learn about venture capital and to just meet a wonderful family of women that are involved in this space. And wouldn't you agree with me? It is the most exciting space to be in. Once you get in, you're hooked, because you're going to get to learn about all the new innovations that are coming down the pike that you otherwise would not know about. It's better than a book club.
Oh my goodness, this is a book. I thought book clubs were popping. This is what's popping, ladies. This
That's
is what's
right.
popping, is making your money work for you, meeting people who are innovators and who are changing, the future for our children and our children's children and children's children's children. Like there is so much innovation taking place everywhere around you. If you only open your eyes and say, who made that? Like who is the founder of the app that you're using? Who is the founder of the product, the hair care product that you're using in your bathroom? Like, there are so many founders among us, but we don't take the time to figure out who they are. And those founders are just innovating the future. So
Yeah.
this is the best decision. This is the best career move I've ever made. Television was fantastic. Tech was fantastic. But this new season of life is the best so far.
I love it. Well, that's a punctuation mark on that. So please follow us both on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you can find us on social as well. I know I'm Catherine Gray at Invest in Her on Instagram, but also SheAngelInvestors.com. And She Angel Investors is on, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can find us both on social media. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to meet you. And we really appreciate you tuning in and taking the time this week. We hope the information's been super helpful and that you'll join this amazing community of venture capitalists and women in this arena. Make